Hello and welcome to this episode of Grown Women Growing Wealth. Thanks for joining us. And I am Daphne Jones, the Smart Money Chick. And our guest today is Franklin Taggart. And he's awesome. He's got a podcast. He's a coach for unconventional people who want to get their big idea out there. He's done a lot of stuff. Um, Coaching entrepreneurs is just a small thing. And
And he
I'm
has a
not going to
great
just
radio
belabor the
voice.
point. Yeah, he does. Awesome, Mike. And I'm not going to belabor the point. Hey, Roberta, how you doing today, girl?
I'm good. How are you?
It's great to have you here. Hey, and those of you that are watching the video on YouTube, I want you to subscribe to the channel. I want you to like the video. Please leave a comment. Hey, smash that bell so you know when the video episode drops. We're building the YouTube channel. We're glad if you're out there watching it. That is not a slight to our audio listeners. Go to Grown Women, growingwealth.com and subscribe so you can get emails from us, so you know when the latest episode drops. Because we love all of you guys that let us in your ears. So Franklin, thanks for coming.
Daphne, thank you. This is so much fun. I'm excited to see where we go this morning.
Oh, see, there we go. You can tell this guy's a professional.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm just thrilled to be with you.
So, what does that mean? Unconventional career, business life coaching for
Well,
unconventional people.
that's a way of saying that I work with people who don't fit any mold. They're people who, like, they may have found that they're in business, but they never intended to be in business. Or they may have found themselves in a creative career, but never really intended to be in a creative career. And so they're kind of feeling like they're in a place that they didn't anticipate or expect. And so I come in and help them to make something conventional out of the unconventional and make them, I help them find ways to make their career path work for them. Does that
That's
explain
nice.
it? Do you need
Yeah.
more? I'm happy to
Oh,
give you details if you need.
yeah. Details are awesome. But a lot of people go the other way around, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I can study this. This will make me money. Oh, this job's available. Or
Yeah.
nothing wrong with it. You got your conventional business people who do something like buy a franchise or, sell widgets or whatever,
Yeah.
follow the business system, the business person. And then there's that artist business person who are developing a body of work.
Exactly. So my own story starts with that. You all are too young to really understand the Brady Bunch, aren't you?
We used to watch the Brady Bunch after
Oh,
school.
oh yeah, after school.
So do
We
you
were in the
remember?
rerun phase of the
Oh,
Brady
all
Bunch.
right. There you go. So it was a rerun thing. But in any case, you saw the stories where they would go to the grocery store with Alice and then some major Hollywood producer would discover them, right? See,
Oh
I
yeah,
thought
that
that's
always
how
happened.
life was supposed to work.
Right.
And so from a very young age, I wanted to be a
Am I
musician.
getting kicked out again?
No, I don't think so. I think you're still with us, Roberta.
Yeah, you're still here.
So at a very young age, I wanted to be a musician. And when I got to college, I studied music and business. And when I was when I graduated from college, all of a sudden I realized I had no idea how to have a career because I'd learned business that would have prepared me for working at IBM, and I learned music that would allow me to be a fairly good music teacher, but there was no in between of how to have a music career. So when I got out of school, I had no idea what to do. So I started taking a bunch of side jobs, and the side jobs were all over the map. The first one that I had was in a sales position, and I did pretty well at that, but found that it wasn't something that I wanted to do all the time. And then I went into social services for about 7 years and learned a lot in social services. I was in a gang intervention program, and I was in
Hmm.
a boys group home, and I worked in, as a victim advocate with the police department, et cetera, and all these different things. And each stop along the way, I would just learn stuff. And at one point, a friend of mine who was a business consultant said, "You have an interesting set of skills that's not marketable anywhere else, but I'd like you to come and do a business retreat with me this weekend, and let's just see what happens." So I went with him and we did the business retreat, and I found, wow, this is a lot of fun. I love this. This is cool. A lot of group facilitation kinds of things, and a lot of conflict resolution and communication kinds of
Mm-hmm.
things. So when I got there, um, that was kind of an eye opener for me, that I could make money with this really strange set of skills and experiences that I have. And that was really, um, I had had businesses all along that were just kind of side hustles that were mostly in music and production and recording and things like that. But when I got to that business consulting piece, all of a sudden my eyes were opened to a whole new world of possibility. Now it's a much longer story than that, and I don't want to dominate with that, but I have had a very unconventional career path. And you could have not, no one could have ever planned this. It just has been
Sounds like
one
fun.
one long happy accident after another. So,
I think that is, keep using the phrase, I know that is the case for a lot more people than folks let on,
yeah,
because I'm a Gen Xer,
yeah.
and so our parents, the boomer slash silent generation, they did the 20-year thing for sure. They locked in somewhere, and this is what they did. Whether it was blue collar, white collar, whatever it was, they locked in. That wasn't so much the case for us, because we got hit with we went through a lot of economic bullshit. There we go. Because we hit, there's been several
Exactly.
major recessions during my working lifetime, from the time I got
Yeah.
out of college in the early 90s, and there's been multiple ones. So the quote straight line or something, I think that one went away a while ago. As
Oh
to,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I went to
Absolutely.
school and got a degree in finance, or I went to school and got a degree in social work. Pick the major. That we all have traveled that road. The resume looks kind of. I'm so glad it appears now that you're getting away from that resume where you're getting asked a bunch of questions about why these different fields and so forth. Well,
Oh yeah.
because I had to pay the mortgage and feed the kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, I bumped garbage for a few years, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Whatever filled in these gaps until I did this other thing. So
Well, at this
I
point in
just
my
think it
life,
makes you a better
I'm
person.
unemployable. There's just no
Exactly.
there's no hope for me to have a career path other than the one that I've carved for myself.
Yeah.
No, because,
Mm.
well, what I found, and one of the reasons that the show and the people we're talking to, is that you reach a point where I ca- I don't like sitting here explaining my value to you. And those, workshops for resume and interviewing, okay, you can do those in your 20s, early 30s, if you're still back out there. But I'm not going to try to explain to a 23-year-old this work history and what value it has for you. So I'm, uh, I'm
Yeah.
here, and we could talk about a particular skill or so, but trying to figure out how you're going to piece this together where it makes sense to you. Nah,
Yeah.
nah. You haven't been out there and lived long enough. I hate to sound like old
Mm-hmm.
Paw, you you don't get it. As I said, I had to eat, and I had other people that I had to feed too. So we had to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
So we all did what we had to do, right?
sure,
Yeah.
you know.
And now our resumes are this just strange quilt of fabric that doesn't match. And
Mm-mm.
what are we going to do with this?
Right. My
That's
my
funny.
favorite thing when you say unemployable is, I
Yeah.
think the last time I was out looking for work, which was years ago, is where you've lived for the every job you've had for a certain time period, and you're like, what? No, I don't know what I did. Oh man, no. Why is it important that you need to know where I lived? And in 84. I don't, I'm not grasping this. Am I going for a top secret clearance?
So this one
Maybe
summer
under
I
that
worked at
case.
Taco Bell, and
Oh,
I
Taco
could
Bell.
mix up a bad pan of beans, man. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Is that relevant to your marketing job?
Yeah.
Well, I know I worked at a butcher shop for a little while in
Oh,
college,
seriously?
and it served me well as I've just being able to identify cuts of meat and preparation and stuff like that, and where it comes from, and nah, you can cook it like this.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How long did you do that? I'm fascinated by that statement.
I did it for about what 5 6 months
All right.
before I went in the Marine Corps. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Very
Worked at a
cool.
butcher shop, and it was a butcher shop. It was old school with the case, and they actually brought in the whole carcasses. It's still in operation, as a matter of fact. It's probably one of the last ones left on the this side of Houston, or
Oh
might
my
be in
goodness.
Houston, because you can
Hmm.
still get deer processed there, and
Oh, wow.
that sort of place. Yeah,
Yeah.
The
and
old school butcher.
yeah, they still have the sign out in the parking lot. Take your deer hides with you. Don't leave 'em- don't leave them in the parking lot. Okay.
Yeah. Don't leave us any bones. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah. Take that with you. Take that with
Yeah.
you. So,
That's funny.
and watching meat cutters, like for instance, meat cutters are different from butchers.
Oh,
There's a
yeah.
different echelon. There's meat cutters, and then there's butchers. Most people
Yeah.
don't know that. They just assume. Like
Butchers
most
get the meat
folks,
ready for the cutter.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
because the cutters get them ready for the butcher. They get them down and
Yeah.
they chop them from very big pieces to smaller pieces.
Oh, man. I'm getting hungry all of a sudden. Anybody got a grill to fire up here?
Yeah. Some
But that's
bacon.
gonna be pretty important with the stuff that's going on now about supply chain and so forth. You're
Yeah.
going to get
Right.
closer to where you get your food from.
Well, I'm curious about that for you too. I mean, like, people are starting to get concerned about inflation.
Hmm.
What do you guys think about that as you're carrying on your businesses?
Oh, about inflation, particularly,
Yeah.
I will give you a probably not an answer you expected, Franklin. I just did a live video today because there's so on my Facebook page. There's so many people in the mortgage business and in real estate. I won't say freaking out, but they're very frustrated, right, with the increase in house prices. Buyers can't buy. The way the agents are taking advantage of the market, as far as sellers are going, interest rates increasing, sometimes 100 basis points over the weekend, like a full percentage point. And my video was basically, if you're going to live on what should be, you're going to be very frustrated. It, because there's not much I can do about what it should be. Should my yogurt be $8? I keep talking about my yogurt, but I still can't believe my yogurt's $8.
Yeah.
No, it shouldn't. It makes no sense. Should somebody that works at McDonald's be making $25 an hour
Yeah.
for the fry cook? I don't know. Should the Fed do this? Should. And I used to frustrate myself so much when I was in sales with that person should have picked me.
Yeah.
This deal should have closed already. This should be like, mortgage sales. Just turn in your freaking bank statement. I would just stress myself. This should be happening this way, and
Yeah.
you can't control any of that shit. None of it.
That's
No.
right.
So, what brought it on? I saw somebody posting that a fellow realtor had kind of, well, didn't kind of, they lied to a seller to screw her out of this deal that she thought she was going to get or she should get. But so I was just thinking about that, and then my morning reading was about, okay, I can stress over this, I can be mad over this, or what else could I do that would be better? Can I be mad about losing this client, upset that the rates are going up, crazy about inflation? Because it's affecting all of us. It affects everything from if you're in sales, how you're driving, to supplies, to people saying, hey, I'd love to buy your coaching package, but I just can't right now because, everything's going through the roof, all that uncertainty. Okay, so you can live in it, or what could I be doing that would be better right now?
Yeah, I think there's the question, isn't it? Right? It's like what can we do? The thing is, the human need hasn't gone anywhere. Our ability to pay for different things may be affected by it, but the needs are still there. The needs are still, front and center for people. Daphne, how about you? I mean, how are you feeling about all of this upheaval?
Well, the needs are still there. So there's the business end. The tide's gone out. So we're going to see who's been swimming naked, because it's been pretty easy to run a business. So for the past few years, and then when you threw in that extra money that everybody was being sent, that made it real easy. So that's one area, and it's it's not all doom and gloom throwing your hands up, because when my parents bought their first house in like 74, no, 73, interest rates, they paid 14%.
Yeah, I was going to say back then it was crazy.
Okay, so we've been through this one before, and I think that's the thing. You have to understand we've
Mhm.
been through this before, um, and you're here now. So let's see what's next. Take a deep breath and figure it out.
Mhm.
Stop. If you're a loan officer, wherever you are, folks are still going to buy houses, particularly where Roberta's with speaking to realtors. People are still buying houses. Why? Because
Mhm.
when it was 14%, they bought houses before. Okay. The first, when we bought this house, we paid like 6%. We were paying at 6% interest. So people are still going to buy. Um, so, and you still have to eat and so forth and things of that nature. So
Yeah.
you're going to have to take a look at what's going on and function in what's happening. You still got to move forward. So we can't crawl up and die. For instance, we were talking about food. Um, you are going to have to pay attention to how you source your food. That's going to take a little bit more effort. So it is going to be just as easy as going to the local store, which many Americans are used to, and take advantage of where you live. Find out where your farmers markets are.
Mhm.
Here in Texas, you can source your meat. You can actually go to ranchers around the areas and buy quarter cows and half cows and things of that nature. So it's going to take an adjustment in everything and how you live and in
Mhm.
your business. And you're going to
Yeah,
find some that just don't want to do that. So, and they'll go back to trying to get a job, which is
yeah,
maybe where they should have been in the first place. Because there's nothing wrong with working. The
right.
CEO of McDonald's has a job.
Yeah.
It's a W-2. It says he's paid $15 million, but it's a W-2. It's a W-2. So
Yeah, yeah. Those are good insights from both of you. The thing that I'm looking at right now is
mhm,
that the people who are starting to come to me are saying, "Is this the right time to
Mhm.
start my own business? Is this the right time to become a freelancer? Is this the right time?" And I said, "Well, it may be different than it was even a year ago, but it's, if this is something that you need to do and it's something you want to do, there are ways to do it." And that's the thing. It's
mhm,
um, like you're saying, Daphne, it's like what we have to figure out are the new ways of doing things and the new
right.
ways of getting what we need and what we want and
Mhm.
things like that. And I remember the 70s all too well. And I remember when gas prices, I worked at a gas station, and I remember people complaining because gas just had hit 75 cents a
Oh
gallon.
God. Yeah.
And it was like, oh man. And now it's like, I look at it and I go, $4 later, $4 a gallon later. What are we going to do now? But that's just it. It's like those kinds of circumstances require creativity. And so a guy like
Mhm.
me, I see this as a land and time full of opportunity because creativity is the order of the day.
I think the great thing about this thing we're on right now, the internet, is making it possible to thrive in a time such as this, because it's removed the gatekeepers in so many ways.
Mhm.
A good example is musicians and artists
Oh yeah.
that make a living from selling their work. There's DistroKid and there's other things, because my son sees himself as a producer. What he is a producer. Let me stop minimizing it. He's a producer. He produces beats
Yeah.
and the ability to get their work up and out there without having to tap and dance for an A&R guy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, Great thing about listening to podcast, you hear the backstories of people that you listen to for decades,
Oh, yeah.
and about having trying to get a deal and getting past A&R and or the lamentations of Jay-Z, how folks passed up on Rihanna,
Oh, yeah.
but he actually sat and listened to her and he was like, "Ah, you are this thing." Or watching the video of Kanye just being basically laughed out of offices,
Yeah.
or the fact that he was smart enough to bring a camera guy with him from the very beginning
Yeah.
and
Into
all
his
that stuff. So
bedroom, no less.
yeah, yeah.
His
And
bedroom was where his studio was.
right, so you've got Kanye, who is Kanye,
Yeah.
being laughed out of offices. They were like, because he was a beats guy. Remember, he was a producer
Yeah.
first, and
Yes,
he
he
wanted to
was.
rap, and they were like, "What beats you got for us today, dude?" They didn't want to hear his rap. And finally, when the first one, and it's on video, the first person that actually listened to him rap, literally, he just ran out of the office. He was so excited. He was like, "God, you're a badass. Where you been? Where you been? We got to get this. We got to
Yeah.
get this on tape. You're a badass."
So that's
Yep.
where Kanye's ego comes from, huh? I'm
Oh,
kidding.
I'll tell you. No, Kanye is one of the few folks that's got a right to brag. That guy is
He's talented.
he's talented. And I think all that talent has made him crazy.
Yeah.
There's a flip side of all that
That and a
talent.
major head injury. I mean, shoot.
Yeah,
Well, that's
all
true.
Guy
that
was
Isn't
in
he
a
brilliance.
car
bipolar?
accident. He was in a car accident when he
He
was
was in a
fairly
very
young
bad car accident.
Well, he had
and
his jaw shut,
messed
right?
him
Yeah,
I
up.
remember
Yeah.
that.
and the medicine that would help level stuff out, he says, dampens his creativity. And I've heard that from I have friends who are bipolar. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things about them staying on their medication. It's like, but I'm not me. I think the best I heard is it's like walking around with a wet sheet over your head. You can see through it, but
Yeah.
it's a wet sheet over your
Yeah.
head. So
Wow, huh?
How do you deal with it?
right. But this is a guy who made $1 billion out of
Yeah,
from what I
right.
hear. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
the thing is like, there's story after story after story after story of a person that just goes directly to their audience with the
Right.
internet, right?
Mhm.
And that's happened over and over and over again. And it's flipped the business model on
Hmm.
its head,
Absolutely.
And so the thing that is really interesting to see is that apart from the talent now, you have to have impeccable marketing skills. And that's where I get excited to see what Roberta's doing online. She's sharing her marketing know-how, and that's something that if you're going to be in any aspect of the creative or entrepreneurial world these days, marketing has to be a skill that you own and that you continue to develop until you die, because it's constantly, I mean, the principles don't change, but the tactics and the tools do, right?
Mhm.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
So that's the thing. It's like one of the things that Kanye was really good at was promoting himself.
Absolutely.
And that was
Yes.
one of the things that I just have a feeling, what separated him from the other 5,000 people that were in their bedroom making beats was that he was out there, you know, facing rejection, working through it, handing his tape to a new guy over and over and over again until somebody said yes. And that's what we all have to do. That's what we're all faced with.
Right. And don't fear saturation. Don't
Oh
believe
no.
it and don't fear it, because
You know,
we're venturing into a new area with YouTube,
yeah,
starting to get the video material out there. And I'll have to admit it, I bought into it. Oh, it's a million podcasts, and there are literally a million podcasts
yeah,
Yeah.
on YouTube. But who's missing out? Who are we not helping by not putting our stuff out there?
yeah,
Because everyone isn't listening to Spotify. or
No.
Apple
Well, you got to
Podcasts
get
to
it out
support.
there too, and if you get crickets, right, you make every effort, and you want to make money out of this thing. Now, if you don't want to, who cares if it's crickets? But that's also an indicator. Hey, something needs to change here. It's either your format needs to change, or your reach needs to change, or maybe you're talking about something that nobody does care about. And you need to move along. Like that
Yeah.
feedback is always telling you something.
Hmm.
Maybe not enough time, right? Like
Yeah.
that's something we've definitely noticed. Our first videos that Daphne put up on YouTube did not were not titled well. And the other thing is, as we put more and more, we've gotten more views. Like, but it's
Yeah.
also a
And
compound effect of paying attention to the titles, paying attention to the keywords, and getting more up
yeah,
there.
definitely.
Right. And when you publish them. So too.
There are so many ways that you can kind of create an edge for yourself in, the online world. And it's like SEO is one of them. Keywords is one of them. Now the big thing is intention search, where you try to guess what kinds of phrases people are putting into the search bar instead of the keywords. You know, like if how do I blank, and then just see what pops up,
Yeah.
right? And or if you wanted to do an intention keyword around marketing, it's like um, you could just put in the phrase "I hate marketing" and see what comes up,
Mm-hmm.
and find out what kinds of videos are happening there. It's just like there are so many different ways that you can position yourself now that it's hard to keep up with, because you do have to kind of pay attention to trends and what's working for people, and what works this week may not work next week. It's a constantly changing place. And for me, with my podcast, this is the fourth podcast that I've hosted. Your Own Best Company is the fourth podcast that I've started and hosted. It's been on now just over a year. But when I started this one, I knew that it was going to be both a video and an audio, because I realized before, when my podcast was audio only, that I was missing uh, a huge slice of potential viewers and listeners because I wasn't on YouTube. And so I made sure that the new podcast, it starts on video, and audio is the thing that gets done second. And I haven't seen any dips in my audio listeners at all. In fact, it's continued to grow gradually. And that what that allows me to be on a whole bunch of channels, right? I'm not just on one, I'm on 15 channels. And that makes a huge difference. I may have a little bit of a number here and a little bit of a number there. They're not all in the same place. But when I add them all up, I'm satisfied with the result.
Yeah, I
Right.
think
Because you,
we're.
no, go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Dad.
No, no, you.
What are we on? 15, I think, as well. You have us on how many
I know you
channels?
you guys are on a lot.
Yeah.
I found you on several.
Yeah. Well, okay. Apple does its thing, and then
Yeah.
Podbean gets you out on several. Make sure on Spotify and Pandora,
Yeah.
Amazon, and then I reach out and try to get us where we can, because you never know quite where folks are listening. Like I didn't think Google was that important. Google Podcasts, because here in the States, most people don't tell you they found you on Google Podcasts, but that's where the foreign listeners come in, is on Google
Mm.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Um, I've got a friend; she lives in Ghana now, and that's where she's able to listen to us.
Yeah.
Is
Google's
is that way?
everywhere.
Right?
Google is everywhere.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like I look at my podcast stats and I go, who in the hell's listening to me in Germany? You
Right.
know?
Right.
Or who's listening to me? And like, I have listeners in Nigeria. What? You know,
Oh, now
where? How did that
podcasting
happen?
is big in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, American folks in Nigeria listening to American podcasters. Yeah,
Hmm.
to the
Most
point
of
where I've
the
known several
yeah,
that have made trips over there just go see their people. It's like yeah.
most of the emails that I've gotten from listeners have come from either Africa or India, and not the US. Now, most of my listeners are in the US, according to
Mhm.
the analytics, but the people that I actually interact with are overseas or outside of the country. And that fascinates me. I don't have an answer for that question, but it's a fascinating one. Why is that happening?
Most of our foreign listeners, I know why. Like we have several in England, but we've had several English people on the show.
Yeah.
So they're fans or whatever. Italy. I'm just assuming that's my husband's cousin. It's being nice to me. And then Daphne's people, her friend in Ghana. Um, and then I think we've had some people on from Canada too. So we've got some listeners up there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
again,
but
it's
the reach.
the beauty of
th-
this thing, the internet.
mhm.
Because it,
I mean,
it,
that's what you're kind of saying, right? Franklin with human need. So we have human need plus the internet. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I think again, the thing that the missing link for it is the creative thinking that has to happen to, to maintain and build the connections that we need with people, and then to find out ways to deliver things that they need that they can pay for. And that's, I mean, that's the call of entrepreneurship all the time.
right.
The only thing that's changed are the market factors right now, with prices going up and with wages not growing with them, at the pace that we would like to see. But the thing that's really interesting is like the opportunity's still there. We have to be creative in creating the opportunities that we want.
Yeah. And
Um,
then people still vote with their money, though. They vote with their
oh
dollars.
yeah,
Because you
absolutely.
will find adults make money for, they allot money for what they want to allot money for. That's they allot money for what they want to allot money for. It's
yep.
I remember when cigarettes, no, good example. My dad would send me to the store with a note. So I guess I'm telling my age to buy cigarettes for he and my mom.
Were they 50 cents yet, or were they still a quarter?
I may have been a quarter because he gave me a 5.
Yeah.
I'd hop on my trusty Huffy when they were still American made. Uh, right up to the Clark station, get him 2 packs of cigarettes, my mom 2 packs of cigarettes because they smoke different brands, and I was allotted the change was mine to do as I chose. And of course, having poor money habits, I spent it all. Uh, for candy or whatever.
Candy, that's right. Yeah.
And but that's what we're talking about. We've got 4 packs of cigarettes, and there was money left over from a 5.
Yeah.
Okay. And now name brand cigarettes, depending on what state you're in, could be anywhere from 7.50 a pack to over $10.
Oh
Oh,
The
yeah.
name brand ones,
in
Newports.
New York City and in
Yeah.
Boston, that would be $18 a
A
pack.
pack. Yeah.
Okay. Yet people are still smoking. This is what I'm talking about.
Yes. The
Uh,
corner store is still slinging cigarettes, pack a
right.
day.
And they still got to keep them behind the counter because folks will walk out with them. So
Hmm.
they're still an important item. So, and we're talking about, and from whatever neighborhood you want to go into, from economically depressed to high end, cigarettes are selling. And you'll go into the corner. Well, we don't call them bodegas here in Texas, but in a economically stressed neighborhood, they're still selling name brand cigarettes because there's 2
Hmm.
tiers now. There's the name brand, Cools, Marlboros, things of that nature, and then you got the generic, the entry stuff, the
Trashy ones.
lower,
Yeah.
right. But the folks who smoke Newports, damn it, they smoke Newports. you
Marlboro
know,
Lights.
Brand
Yep.
loyalty, right?
right?
Yeah.
They smoke Marlboro Lights.
Yeah.
Are they smoking
Yeah.
less? We don't know, but those packs are still walking out the store,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they're figuring out a way to pay for them because adults will do that. I
Yep.
learned that being a recovering life insurance agent. That was often what I saw as the in everyone needs life insurance, but folks who at a certain economic strata really need life insurance,
Oh yeah.
and they just didn't see it as that. It didn't click because we have other things that are right here, right now. There's of course always food, but then right next to it, as you said, they're walking out of the store and you see in the shopping cart
Soda.
there's usually a 6 pack of beer in there, some type of alcoholic beverage. There's food, an alcoholic beverage, and if there's a smoker in the house, they're getting cigarettes on the way out. So people make room for what they want. That's I guess
Yeah.
that's a long way of saying it. They make
I
room for what
remember
they
what
want.
I remember back when I was a smoker many years ago that every time that the price went up to the next dollar, I would swear that I was going to quit.
No.
Oh yeah.
No, it got up. I think when I quit, it was just hitting $4 a pack, and but that also coincided with my son had been born, and I didn't want to be a parent who smoked. So I I had a moment of grace on my front porch when I was smoking my last cigarette, and I just have never looked back. So I got really lucky that
See,
that
you
my
you were a sensitive parent. I remember riding around in the back seat of the Buick,
with smoke blowing in your face, right?
windows rolled up because it's wintertime in Chicago,
Ooh.
and they're both just puffing away.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's rough.
Or
Yes,
being down
indeed.
watching Battlestar Galactica because we watched that as a family. That was one of my dad's favorite shows.
That's
And there
Yeah.
was a
funny.
haze, that level of blue haze in the basement.
Oh, they
Yeah.
smoked in the basement.
They smoked. They
Yeah.
smoked.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
smoked.
I mean, it's true.
When I first ran into a time when I didn't have to live with smokers, which was, moved out college in the military, because I never smoked under pain of death because
Yeah.
smoking parents threatened their children not to smoke.
Yeah.
My old man was real serious. That wasn't happening.
Don't start.
You're right, right, and
Yeah.
he would put the force of corporal punishment behind it. That his
Yeah.
children would not, and none of his children do smoke, which is crazy. None of us smoke,
Yeah.
do smoke, and so once you're allowed out of smoking, you can't handle smoking anymore
Yeah.
because I go visit my mom, and that's one of the things I'll call. Okay, I'm coming over at a certain time, so she can't smoke
Yeah.
cigarettes within a certain time when we come in. It's like
Open the windows. I'm coming
I
home.
can't, mom. I can't do it.
Yeah. So Roberta, have you taken any classes with Dean Jackson?
No, I have not.
He's
Who's Dean Jackson?
he's a
9-word email, right?
9-word email, and he's a realtor and marketing specialist. He and a guy named Joe Polish put together a podcast that's been around
Okay.
for a long time now called I Love Marketing. But he's got some classes for realtors that are just remarkable. And I've had a couple of friends that have taken his classes, and they've come out of those classes. They've, like the last big recession that hit, they went through that with no problem. And in fact, their sales continued to grow through that downturn. And they, and basically the things that he was teaching them was, people are still going to be buying houses. How do you
Mhm.
position yourself to be the first one that they find?
Mhm.
How do you position yourself to be the person that everybody knows will sell them a house right now? And it's like he's got some really good ideas, and I see I, I don't know. I see I'm not going to say the same ideas, but I see some similarities in the way that you present your marketing ideas is in the way that he does his as well. But I feel like that's one of the things that we've got to look at, as things change in our economy,
Mhm.
is the marketing still has to happen,
Absolutely.
and it has to happen maybe even with much more intention than it's
Mhm.
needed to happen in the last few years.
I think
But
so.
yeah, a lot of that now is just the Grant Cardone philosophy and the Gary Vee philosophy of being everywhere all the time online. I think is something that a lot of people are striving for, but without having a media team and a marketing team, being everywhere all the time is kind of a tall order. So how do we leverage being in as many places as we can at a time And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that the YouTube podcasting combination is a powerful one for people in our situation who are solopreneurs, freelancers, independent business owners. We're the ones that can really benefit from that kind of exposure, and it doesn't take that much to maintain. It's been really easy for me to maintain all of those channels and to keep them filled with content. That hasn't been a tall order for me at all.
Yeah.
Where if I were trying to be on Twitter and on TikTok and on Instagram and on Facebook and on whatever else is the latest social media flavor of the week, I'd probably be, drive myself to an early grave. But this podcasting and YouTube combination for me has been a godsend. It's been
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, if you look at it, I know everybody thinks now when you use the word marketing that you're talking about social media.
Yeah.
But actually, if you look at it on a grid where you would have live, recorded, written, and I'm trying to think of the other. Sorry, my mind just went blank. But you got a little quadrant there, right?
Kind
Where
of a
Facebook
visual.
ads
Yeah.
put in, yeah, visual. So audio visual, right? Facebook ads could go in one quadrant, like Google would go in that one.
Yeah.
Anything else you would pay ad, print ad, email that you pay for, you go in the other quadrant where you're live, like where or this, right? Podcasting, sending out videos, live videos on Facebook, being somewhere physical, like Daphne
Yeah.
and I talked about a couple weeks ago, networking,
Yeah.
actually being somewhere, networking, being where you are and talking about what you do when you're there.
Yeah.
For some reason, entrepreneurs a lot of times will shut up because they don't want to feel like they're being salesy, but everybody talks about what they do.
Yeah.
So, combination of that, throw in some email, your marketing where you're calling people, texting people, emailing the people you know, and they think you're everywhere and you've done four things.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
see you
You're
everywhere,
visible. You're
right?
visible.
So the visibility is not that hard compared to what some of the gurus out there would tell you. And Cardone and Gary Vee are all over the place, literally. But
Yeah.
you're right; they have the production team to do it,
Yeah.
and they like it.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
That's their
so that's their
that's how they've
gig.
that's how they've always done it.
Yeah,
Now
but
they just
it's
have more
not
people doing it for them.
right.
We
It's not necessary to get the same effect
Right.
yeah, we
to be
we
everywhere.
went to 10X the last time I was in Vegas. So that was
Yeah.
what 2020.
Hmm.
And we stayed in the host hotel. And in the block of rooms, Cardone was on the TV. You know how the hotel has that usually it's commercials about the hotel till you put it on
Yeah.
a regular channel. Nope, not in Cardone's block of rooms.
The closed circuit, right? He was there.
It was Cardone on a loop. Yeah, and because
Yeah,
when I came in, so TV's on, I'm like, you got it, dude. You're good. you, I'd never seen it before. I'd been to multiple conferences. Okay, but you're gonna know why you're there for. You're in his block of rooms, and of course you can change to watch HBO if you want. But just in case you don't, let me tell you how wonderful I am and how smart you are to be here. So
yeah,
Well, that's just it. It's like if you're booking a conference at a hotel, you're already paying for that screen time. And usually what people would just put up is like a conference logo or a
mhm.
agenda or something like that. He's really, really smart, just saying, hey, that's airtime. Let me fill that
yeah.
sucker up.
Right.
Definitely airtime. Even if you're just like, hey, thanks for being here. It's going to be a great
Yeah.
couple of days. Make sure you check out this, whatever.
So
Yeah.
he's just hyper leveraging something that he's already paid for, and he's a genius at that.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
he is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Mhm.
Which, a lot of people I think who are not in the widget selling business feel like they don't have enough assets or enough time or enough bandwidth. And that is
Yeah.
how you do it. You just leverage what you already have.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Which
That's
is
that's just it. It's like, and that's one of the beauties of if you all look at all of the content that you've created since you've had this show, think about all of the different ways now that can be reused endlessly into the future. You've
Yeah.
created something that has marketing value for as long as you want to use it. And that's the thing. It's like that's the beauty of having a body of work like this, is that now the sky's the limit as far as the number of ways that it can be cut up and presented and packaged and leveraged and moved. The only thing that most of us struggle with is finding the time to do it.
It is. If you're doing it yourself, it is.
Yeah,
Uh,
Mhm.
and gaining up the skill, because often what I run into is, okay, there's there's the old school, what is your time worth?
yeah,
Okay, so and then you that runs into, if you don't have money, you've got time.
Mhm.
So how are you going to apply that? When you're building, right now I'm working on building, getting a landing page up and out for my latest product, Bitcoin Made Easy. And you run into what you don't know, and it can be an issue. Right now, I'm trying to insert how to get the payment gateway to work on the landing page, uh, to do this, to do this, to do this. And it just drives home, okay, this is why you get coaching. So you'll pay somebody X to tell you how to do this, because you've spent how many hours, going through YouTube videos, and exactly how does this fit. Because often you'll hear, well, why should I pay someone to tell me that I can figure it out myself? Yeah, but they can tell you in 15 minutes,
Mhm.
and then you can go do it,
yeah.
compared to you're
And
paying for
quite
the hours
honestly,
that they're doing it.
it may be just as fast to have somebody do it for you if you don't ever have to do it again. And
Oh,
it's like, that's the thing.
Yes.
And you can find VAs now who will change a light bulb for you. It's just like
right.
you can find a VA for any purpose now. And a lot of them are working for 25-30 bucks an hour, and they can get the job done in minutes, where even with
Mhm.
the coach's help, you'd be paying the coach's rate
Right.
and still have the learning curve in front of you.
Yeah,
So it's like, wow, what can I delegate here?
exactly. The coaches, and certainly not putting down the work of coaches. They get you
Thank
to the
you.
point where
Mhm.
where you know where to go look.
Yeah,
Because I had a coach that, because he had no problem working with pages. He was an Elementor guy. And then when further conversation, you will find out he was an early adopter of just being into the internet, period. So he's been building pages, as you guys often do. He's been messed around with this stuff since Commodore 64, since he was 13, 14 years old.
My brother
A-
had one of those.
And I was on the other side. I was hardware networking. So, for instance, Franklin, I might could say, yeah, Frank, that's no man, it's no problem wiring your house. Da, 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 da. You be sitting there going, what? No,
yeah,
no. So, for instance, like I said, getting the page, having the page actually built. Now that I built one myself,
yeah.
I speak much better to a vendor that I'm working with,
Oh, yeah,
because we can speak the same language. So I'm getting much closer. I get exactly what I want, because Roberta and I can wax poetic about spending money for pages,
Mm.
spending
oh,
four
yeah,
figures and getting back crap.
Mhm.
yeah,
But now it actually looks and functions like I wanted to, except for this particular payment part. Um,
yeah,
and it's because, like I said, because I'm working through a service where I can't email the guy directly.
yeah,
That's one of the issues that's
Yeah.
kind of slowing things up.
I won't
But
work with
other than that,
somebody anymore that expects me to speak IT or expects me to speak computer language.
yeah,
And I have in the past and paid good money, and they're like,
mhm,
well, this, all the it's a whole other language. I'm like, I don't know what any of that means.
yeah.
And if you say, well, then I can't help you, then we're done.
I
because
need
I
a
can't.
translator.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think it's not. Well, that's my opinion. I think it's
Well,
unprofessional unless you're dealing with somebody also in the IT space. But
yeah,
Yeah.
the best review when I go to the sites and I'm looking for a vendor is when someone writes a review, he knew what I was talking about. All I had to do was send them a Word doc, or all I had to do was something real basic. Send them a Word doc,
right,
send them a PowerPoint, and he made it beautiful. Oh, okay. You can have my money then.
yeah,
Yeah.
You're
I'm
exactly
down.
what I need. Because I don't know how the pretty colors work. I just know I need pretty colors. I don't know how you got them there.
Yeah.
I just know that this is what I need.
Yeah. Well, that's, I think, one of the things that a decent coach is able to do. Like, I find that a lot of the work that I'm doing lately is
Hmm.
helping people who want to do the DIY path, but they don't know the language. And I am the translator. It's like, if they need somebody to come in and say, okay, I don't understand what a dashboard is, and I can
Hmm.
say, okay, well, let's go to this screen here. This screen is your dashboard.
Right.
The dashboard is where you find all of the other information about what you're doing, et cetera, et cetera. And I can go into detail about things like that, partly because I love DIY and I love knowing how things work. If I had 48 hours in a day instead of 24, I'd still fill it up learning how to do stuff. But that also helps me to be someone who can help people do stuff. So if
Mhm.
they come to me and they say, I want to do a quiz funnel, I say, okay, I know this software. I can help you set it up. Let's get started. We're going to integrate the quiz funnel software with WordPress, with Squarespace, or with Wix, or hell,
Hmm.
I've got my blogs on Blogger still,
Right.
and it's like, we can integrate the quiz software with any of those and it's going to work beautifully. And then on the back end, what we need to do is tie it into your email servers. So it's like,
Mhm.
I can do all of that with them and for them, and by the time it's all said and done, they will have saved a lot of time and money. um, so those are the things that I enjoy doing. So when I introduce myself, I tell people, first, I'm a creator, second, I'm a coach, and third, I'm a consultant. It's like, I do a lot of creating myself because that's where my passion really, really lies. And then the coaching is something where I can be a support to other people, both in the vision and the emotional areas that they need for figuring out what their next steps are. But I can also be a consultant and say, these are the actual practical steps that you have to take in order to get what you want. So I feel like that, I can step into all three of those roles very comfortably, and have something to offer in each of them.
Yes, because there is a sauce to it. There is a
Yeah,
there there is a sauce to it, to the marketing sauce. Because you brought up social media, and what I've found is pick your media.
yeah,
Pick the
Yeah.
one you, if you're drawn to any of them, and make them, and then that's what you do.
yeah,
Um, because that's dead. Facebook is nowhere. This is no. It's still people making eight figures out of Facebook.
yeah. If there are people
Mhm.
still there, it's
Right.
something.
Right.
You should consider it if people
Yeah.
are
Right.
still there. Yeah,
Oh yeah, people are still there. Particularly, what's the word? Boomers and silent generation. They're on Facebook. No, if you're trying to market to folks 40 and over, Facebook is your jam.
yeah.
Mhm.
Facebook is it.
And
Although
YouTube.
I'm getting to the point where I just can't stand to even be there. It's like, I
It's
just
not my favorite thing, but
I
it's
don't dig
where
it
a
at
lot of my
all.
people are.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
uh, I'm taking a peek at it as far as our podcast is concerned,
That's a good
because
place for a podcast. Yeah,
Facebook groups are they're popping. If you can get a Facebook group, get it up and off the ground, get your
Yeah.
manager in there. It's worth the effort, the
yeah.
posting and so forth.
The trick I had with Facebook groups is that I had to manage it, and I didn't like that. So, hiring a manager would be a good thing for someone like me on a Facebook group. What I ran into with Facebook groups was that the initial the initial push required a lot of energy on my part,
Mhm.
And that was, I want to say that it was for me, it was impossible to maintain. It's like I was the one that would have to show up and do the talk triggers and the conversation starters and stuff like that. And getting people to participate was not
It's
easy.
hard.
Yeah.
I've had a group for, like, I started last October, maybe November, something like that.
Yeah.
And I'll even have people say, "Oh my God, I loved everything you posted last week." But I'm like, "Could you please comment?"
Yeah. Even a
Or, "Can I
like
ask
would
you a
be
question?"
nice.
I'm like, can you ask
Yeah.
me in the group when I say, "Hey, ask me any questions that you have?"
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a minute to get them to be active.
I don't know what it is. I've just joined one. It's a private one
Yeah.
where I'm active, where I reach out. I feel I can reach out and then I'll get answers back.
Yeah.
And I'm in a well, I pruned. I went to my account and I pruned all the because you
Yeah.
just join groups willy nilly, and I pruned them
Yeah.
down. I was like, okay, is this really interesting? When you look at something you haven't been in there in 52 weeks, you need to get rid of it. So,
Well,
Yeah,
that's
it's
just it.
okay.
It's like Facebook will only let you pin 10 of them. And if
mhm,
if if I've got any in my pinned groups that I haven't been to in a year, I can safely let it go.
right,
Yeah.
But
right,
there are a handful of groups on Facebook that I participate in that are just worth their weight in gold.
hmm
But they've been around long enough, and the people who facilitate them are excellent facilitators.
right,
And they ask the right kinds of questions. They stimulate good conversations. And one of the things that I've been able to do there is I've been able to show up and contribute, and that has led
right,
to
right.
clients for me. It's like
Definitely.
if I can just show up in a helpful way,
hmm
and I'm not
Yeah.
poaching clients from anybody, I'm just showing up
Yeah.
and being helpful. That has been really positive exposure for me, and I didn't have to run the group to get it.
The
Me as
so
well. I've done the
when
same
you were
thing.
running the
Yeah.
group, were you running the group or did you have a manager that you brought in, a VA that you brought in to manage?
It never got to the point where I would have a manager in there. I ended up
Okay.
having, I think, when I ended up shutting it down, it had been around for a year, and
hmm
it had gotten up to about 30 members, and I had been
Okay.
plugging it on every podcast. I would end every podcast with an invitation to join it,
Right.
and it's just there was no interest. It was like people. First of all, I think groups require a little bit more of a time commitment than other types of interaction online on social
hmm
media. And
Mhm.
so if you're going to join a group, there really has to be a reason, right? There has to be a value there.
Yeah. Well,
And
there's
I just
definitely
don't think I was
people.
ever able to get it across.
I had people ask to join my group that are like in 150 groups.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Yeah.
The easiest way for me has been being in groups and talking to people, then friending them, and then they see my content on my regular page, and then a couple weeks into it, I can invite them to my group, and now they get it.
Yeah.
But that's several steps.
Yeah. It's like that's, you know, hell, you've got a Facebook group funnel going on right there.
Kinda, but I mean, you kinda have, because it's not like, yeah, it's not like I'm selling, inviting you to the Gucci private group where you want to be. You
No.
don't know yet, right? You
Yeah.
got no familiarity, so they have to get some familiarity. Um, I also been really good about keeping people who are not my client out, just because
Yeah.
it gets frustrating.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this group that I was telling you about, the interaction and back and forth, it's a paid group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You pay a nominal, well, not much, but a nominal fee
yeah,
to uh
So
to be in there.
you got skin in the game then.
yeah,
Right.
oh yeah,
So these are kind of like raving fans to okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. And so
We
they're
had Sarah Mueller on the podcast. How long ago was that, Daphne? She's got like 60,000 in her free group
Yeah.
and a couple thousand in her paid group. That came off the big list came from her blog and it just blew up on Facebook. But that's her list.
Yeah.
Now they come off once obviously they go in the paid group, they come off and they're in the email system and they get marketing that way too. But she's got a huge group.
Yeah. And I would be willing to bet that she's the kind of person who, first of all, really enjoys that level of interaction with that many people. That's the thing. It's like I'm not that person. I don't like to interact with more than one or two people at a
Well,
Okay.
time.
she's a
You know,
No.
Facebook guru.
is
Yeah.
she?
Episode 31,
There you go.
Bulletproof Your Business by Building Community.
Very good.
And I've seen her on other stages talking Facebook groups.
Yeah,
Because I've run into her, for instance, I was in a ClickFunnels um, to do, and
yeah,
she taught a segment. So
But she gets it to the point where she's not doing the talk anymore. She's got
right,
administrators on there. Like she'll
yeah,
pop her videos and stuff in there or do lives, but she's
yeah.
not managing that group. She's not chatting. Sometimes.
So again, there's a team involved.
Yeah.
So for the solopreneur, that's something to consider. It's like,
Yeah.
if you've got the gumption and the time and the resources to manage that, great. Otherwise, you're going to need to hire it out. And,
Well, the team came from the group.
oh, did they?
The
That's
team
cool.
came from the people within the group. So you had the raving fans in the group
Yeah,
already who became coaches of hers
yeah,
and administrators of hers. And some of the administrators, in fact, most of them, if, at one point, I haven't talked to Sarah about this in a minute, but most of them at one point were volunteers.
yeah.
yeah,
They loved it. Now they're
Well, that's
paying
cool.
into the group and they're volunteering to facilitate
right.
the group.
Because I've
Wow.
noticed with some popular lives that I like to check in on, I got about two now where,
Yeah,
okay, when this pop, one is a regular schedule, it's a podcast. Another one, when she pops on doing lives, the moderators, that seems to be the case on YouTube. The moderators are volunteers.
yeah,
These are people that just love your stuff. So again, Raven fans love yourself
Hmm.
so much. Yeah, let me help you keep the cuckoos down
yeah.
somewhat.
Yeah.
And so that's what you want to get to. Oh, hey,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just don't have raving fans.
Oh,
I
come
You
have.
on now.
do,
Let me
Franklin.
try.
You have to.
Oh, you guys, you're so sweet.
Cat Stansick's a raving fan.
Oh, that's a mutual fan club there. Kat's an awesome, awesome, awesome person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We had her on the
But
pod twice.
I know.
yeah,
I heard one of her episodes. She's amazing.
yes, she is. She is. Yeah, she got me to go out to a podcast meetup. So I'll be going to
Wow.
Pod Movement. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So
you went out there?
well, it's going to be in June, not
Or
June, August.
is that the one in
Yeah.
Nashville or is that?
One in Dallas.
Oh, it's in Dallas. That's right.
Yeah, I think it was in Nashville last year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's cool. I think you'll have a great time.
that's the plan.
Yes,
That's the
indeed.
plan. I'll be taking comfortable shoes.
All right. What else you want to know about me?
How
Well,
can
I
our
think we're
listeners
gonna have,
get a hold of you?
yeah.
How do
Sorry.
people get a hold of me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do they
All
find you?
right. I have a blog. It's called franklintaggart.com. And that's the place where you can find kind of all of my central clearinghouse of where I am online, etc. My Franklin Taggart YouTube channel, Franklin Taggart Coaching YouTube channel, is where I'd prefer that you'd find me on YouTube. I have one other channel that's my old music channel. That if you want to have some weird entertainment that has nothing to do with who I am today, you can find that one. But if you see Franklin Taggart Coaching on YouTube, that one is where I post every day. And so the way that I work my media posts is I make a video and then I lift the audio from it. I put my video up on YouTube and on Spotify now. And then I post the audio on Anchor, and Anchor posts it everywhere else. And it's also on Audible and Amazon Music. So my podcast is a daily. I do 6 days a week. I do a podcast called The Virtual Coffee Break, which is just me talking about what's on my mind that day, things that come up in client conversations and things like that. Then every Friday, I have an interview, and that podcast is Your Own Best Company, and it's targeted for people who love working alone. There's a group of people like me who find that solitude is just as important as money when it comes to their business. And I wanted to create a podcast that honored that trend. So that's where you can find me.
Excellent.
Solitude.
Yes,
I'm getting that.
indeed. You dig it?
It is because I notice I have to make time to think that
Oh
nothing
yeah,
else is going on, and it's time to think. You're not watching anything. You're not listening to anything. Well, maybe some lo-fi beats,
yeah.
but to give you
I
some,
need I need a
give you
room
some
with a door.
right, where nobody's talking to you. Best time for me is in the morning because I hear by
Yeah.
myself and
Well, I live in a house with two extroverted people and an extroverted dog,
okay.
and I my door is my savior. I
So,
worship my
wife
door.
and a kid.
Yeah, I've got a wife and a kid and a dog, and they're all three extroverts. They all need stimulation around the clock.
That's how
Well,
it is here.
You got it going on there too. Well, what one of the things, Roberta, I love is your beach moments, the pictures that you share from the beach. They
oh
actually
yeah,
make me feel a little bit calm, and I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my morning.
Hashtag Alberto's still sleeping. I love that.
Yes, because he is. Yeah, that's my alone time. Just go
It's a
sit
good
out
time.
there. It's hot right now, though. It's hard.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
I
not in the
miss it.
morning when she goes out. I've been lucky enough to be on one of those walks, and it is different. The beaches, I had forgotten because I spent a few years in California, down in San Diego County, and there is something about the water and the beach.
yeah.
That's not there's a reason folks pay to live
Hmm.
on the water
On
like
the
that.
water.
And
Yeah.
Well, I grew up landlocked, but my wife and my in-laws live in Fort Lauderdale, so on occasion there's beach time in our lives. I'm hesitant to go in the water because I've been stung by jellyfish so many times,
Oof.
okay,
but I can handle an hour's worth of sand. That's good for me.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
good.
Beach close to me is not worth going to. I'm sorry, Galveston. I
Galveston,
love the
yeah,
shrimp.
that's
I love the seafood that comes out of there, but
yeah,
it is not worth the drive down unless you're
Mm.
buying seafood. So
Hmm.
well, and every 10 years or so, a good hurricane blows through and kind of washes the new sand up on shore. That has to be okay.
no, it's not. I love Texas, but that ain't it. Now I haven't been to Corpus. Folks tell me Corpus, that area of the
Yeah,
Gulf
it's
is
Corpus
pretty
and
totally
nice.
San
different.
Padre, right?
Right. So, but this part we got over here,
Mm.
we need to do
No,
something else about that. But Franklin, we want to be respectful of your time because
it's been a lot of fun.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. And we're going to have you back, and this time we're going to talk about YouTube.
Okay,
So we mostly talk about podcasting and the new way to reach people. That's a
yeah.
pretty good thing talking about inflation. Um,
Well, I'm
because my
curious
thing is
about it.
money. So it's
Yeah,
and what are you going to do about it, and how you're going to make a way? Because you have to. You don't have a choice. I mean, we're in it.
yeah. Well, it'll be
It's
interesting to see how blockchain and Bitcoin and all those survive uh, uh, an
the
economic.
blockchain will,
Yeah,
Bitcoin will, because of the very nature of of what it is.
you think
Because
NFTs will hold their value?
no, no,
Yeah,
the that too, the tide is going out on that too, and you're gonna find out about folks swimming naked.
I was
Um,
wondering.
and the various coins, I think Ethereum is still holding out,
Yeah,
but the other ones, Luna and the rest of them, is that
and this,
happens when you have one person in charge,
the
which is
smaller
what's
boutique
happening to the
coins aren't going
dollar.
to do very well.
Well, in the end, you have it's still about one person enriching themselves because they
Yeah,
created it. We don't know who Satoshi was. We don't know if he's
yeah.
still here. And even then, he created uh, a network that runs by itself. Once once it started, it runs it's self perpetuating.
Wasn't
Uh,
Satoshi a cartoon character?
I can't tell you. I can't recall right now the exact. I wrote down the definition of Satoshi
Yeah,
Nakamoto and what each means, but it self perpetuates. It's a machine that self perpetuates. He wrote
yeah,
the code. The code is going to stay the code. There's only 21 million. He seems to answer so many questions. It's peer to peer
yeah,
that the others don't because they were invented to to create money for the original founders, the
Yeah.
ICO. So, and they all have that going on. So that's why what's going on is going on now. So even though
So it sounds like
Bitcoin is dropping a bit,
if anybody has questions about that kind of stuff, that you're the deep diver that'll help them find their answers.
that's me. And thank you
All
for the
right.
plug. You can
Yeah.
check out my new podcast, Bitcoin Jarhead, available on Spotify.
Very good.
And so, but the nature, because often I hear, what are with Bitcoin and crypto? I go, that's two different things, buddy.
Yeah.
There are some cryptographic aspects of Bitcoin, but it's not crypto. It's not Luna. And as I said, the other ones, Doge
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So, and we are going digital because Uncle Sam is you're going to see a digital dollar
Oh
within
wow.
the decade. Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. They've already got Project Hamilton. It's going to be there.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Roberta, what are you going to be doing for your marketing stuff coming up?
I have another workshop coming up. I just did my first one, 90 days for strategic marketing for realtors, 90 days
Very good.
of. We did a 90-minute workshop. My next one's coming up on July 14th. So that will be
Very cool.
pushing out pretty soon on social media.
Yeah.
Exciting. Well,
Yeah,
you're going to be joining me on my podcast next week, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
There you go.
Daphne's going to be coming up sometime soon too. So
Right. Right.
um,
Right.
I guess we'll have a lot to talk about with your workshop on your episode. Then
Yeah, definitely.
this will be fun. I'm excited already.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And thanks for having me here. Oh, and those of you that are watching us on YouTube, hey, I'm so glad you're watching the replay. Like the video, share the video, leave a comment, and most importantly, subscribe and smash that bell so you'll know the next time we drop an episode. And
All
to
righty.
everyone and to my guest, bye bye now.
Thanks, everybody.